welcome to the Mike Armstrong podcast show. This morning I'm joined by Paralympic athlete, gold medal winner and top entrepreneur speaker, Mark Colbourne. How are you doing this morning, Mark? You okay?
Yes, good morning, Mike. Good morning.
Yes, sorry, it's an early one this morning, so a bit tongue-tied at this morning, but you're a top speaker, which is the reason I wanted to get you on my podcast, because I'm looking to become a speaker myself. So I'd like to ask you some questions about that. But before we do, obviously you got into speaking because you're a Paralympic athlete and you won a gold medal, etc. Tell us a little bit about your story and how you got to achieve that.
Yes, very much so. I think first and foremost, I just wanted to say thank you. You know, I start every presentation, every podcast, every interview with gratitude, just to say thank you, you know, for reaching out. Thank you for inviting me. And obviously, yes, you know, it's a wonderful Monday morning here in South Wales. So, so hi to everybody listening to this podcast at a later date. And obviously hi to everybody on Mike's YouTube channel watching this video as well. So yes, born and bred in South Wales, always a big lover of sport, Mike, you know, all my life as a child, you know, into my teenage years, playing probably every sport under the sun, to be honest with you. Loved it, loved the feeling of movement. Loved the feeling of being, you know, strong, healthy, fit, active, you know, and I suppose it kept me out of trouble, if I'm honest. But that then led me to, you know, my adult life. I started working then, you know, near Cardiff and loved work. You know, I always had this athlete mindset, even in work. And
what was you doing? What was you doing for work?
So I was a senior accounts manager, you know, looking after lots of accounts all around, you know, all around Wales, really. Made the move from retail management, you know, into senior management in sales and loved it, you know. And then, you know, if we take the audience back to the 2nd of May, 2009, I was a paragliding pilot. I was a keen triathlete, you know, I was a keen rock climber, just enjoying all of the crazy extreme sports, I guess. You know, that obviously I loved back then. And then on the 2nd of May 2009, I was flying above the Gower Peninsula in South Wales, just above Swansea. And that afternoon, you know, there were 21 paragliding pilots, you know, just enjoying the amazing weather that we had that afternoon. And at about 5:15, I was flying above the top ridge, above, you know, the beach that is known as Rossilly Beach. And my canopy collapsed. I was about 40 feet above the ground, just a complete freak of nature. Maybe in the wrong place at the wrong time, I don't know. But my canopy collapsed and I came down from, as I said, about 40 feet, landed on my feet and unfortunately, you know, broke my back in the impact. So you can imagine, you know, I was 40 years of age and being airlifted to Morriston Hospital that night, you know, having my parents turn up, you know, later that evening to be told after my MRI scan and my x-ray that, you know, I'd broken my back. I'd broken T12, which is, you know, the thoracic vertebrae, you know, near sort of belly button level. And the vertebrae just split. So it's known as a thoracic fracture. So you can imagine that was pretty traumatic, you know, in itself. But it was just the end of one life and I guess the beginning of a new life, you know.
Yeah, well, obviously a lot of people, when they have situations like that, you know, you have a choice, you know, either you can sort of wallow in pity forever and go down a sort of unhappy path, or you can sometimes use that situation as a motivation to go on and do something else in your life. You know, lots of people overcome adversity to then go on and achieve great things. So tell us a little bit about what choice you made.
Yes, very much so. I think lying in that hospital bed, you know, 94 days, lying on my back, having had 6 titanium pins inserted into my spine to stabilize my spine, I genuinely thought it was the end. You know, we all go through, you know, apprehension, fear, doubt, uncertainty in our life every day. But when you're faced with that kind of adversity, yeah, it was tough, you know, and I went through some really dark times, you know, suicide thoughts, just wanted to end my life, just wanted to stop the situation I was in, you know. But thankfully, my late dad, who was known as Mr. Nice Guy, who was a gentleman, you know, through and through, but a very wise man, very wise. And he actually caught hold of me one night. I'm in my hospital bed, and this is quite funny for the listeners. listening to this podcast and watching the video on YouTube, my dad caught hold of me one night, literally by the scruff of the neck. And he said to me, you listen here now, you pull yourself together, you get through this, you stop upsetting your mum, you stop upsetting me, because you're a winner. Okay. Are you listening? So it scared me, it really scared me, but it changed my mindset. And that's obviously what allowed me then to leave hospital after 6 months, using crutches, walking aids to learn to walk again, because I've got lower leg paralysis from the accident. But thankfully, 3 months after leaving hospital, I found that I could actually cycle. Now, I've cycled since I was about 5 or 6, Mike. So riding a bike was easy, albeit with a disability, because my feet don't work, my calves don't work, my hamstrings don't fire, my glutes don't fire, my bum muscles. But what do work, is my quads and my hip flexors, which basically means I can push and pull when I'm clipped into the pedals, and it was just a lifeline for me, a complete lifeline. So I'll never forget raising money for the Wales Air Ambulance 1 year after my accident, and meeting a gentleman on this charity bike ride who I'd never met before. And this guy said to me, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah, of course. And this was on let me think, I think it was the 10th of June, 2010. And this gentleman who I'd never met before said, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah, of course. He said, what's wrong with your legs? I said, well, I broke my back 12 months ago in a paragliding crash, and I've got lower leg paralysis. I walk like Charlie Chaplin, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. And after about 20 minutes of just talking about my disability, talking about the accident, talking about, my engine, I've got a huge engine, big lungs, and obviously strong legs. So after a 20-minute conversation, he said to me, can I ask you one last question? I said, yeah, of course. He said, are you training for the London 2012 Paralympic Games? I said, no. Why the hell would I be doing that? I'm literally, I'm 40 years of age. And he said, I think you should. That was it. The light bulb moment went off, Mike. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I've been waiting all my life for this opportunity, because I always wanted to be a professional athlete. I always wanted to be Daley Thompson, Linford Christie, Seb Coe. I wanted to be one of those athletes, in the Olympics. And I guess Daley Thompson was my inspiration as a young lad, So I gave this guy a hug. I said, thank you. Thank you for planting the seed. I really appreciate it. And I said, can I ask you a question? He said, yes. I said, what's your name? Who are you? And he said, my name is Dr. Ben Matthews. I'm a chiropractor. I understand what's going on in your body, So that was literally the turning point, Mike. That was the turning point.
Sliding doors moment.
Sliding doors, 100%. And I went home that week. We raised 20-odd thousand pounds for the Wales Air Ambulance. We cycled all around Wales in a week, and it was amazing. I loved it. And I went home on the Saturday, and obviously I was living back with my parents, having broke my back, And I spoke to my mother, and my mother said, did you have a nice time? I said, oh man, it was amazing. I met all these famous people, ex-Welsh rugby legends, British Lions, And I said, have a guess what I'm going to do next week, ma'am? What's that, Mark? I said, I'm going to start training for the Paralympic Games.
Nice.
Oh, good luck, she said. What would you like for tea? So it just went over my mother's head,
You cooking your food.
Yeah, just went over her head, and my dad came into the kitchen. He said, are you okay? I said, yeah, fine. Did you have a nice time? Yeah, it was amazing. I loved it. And he said, what's this Paralympic thing you're on about? I said, well, 2 years' time is London 2012, and you taught me all my life that if I have a dream, never give up, until your eyes close, because of this reason. When I was about 10, Mike, I don't mind sharing this. When I was about 10, my dad said these words to me, because I wasn't a crazy child, but I just had lots of energy, And my dad said to me, when I was about 10, he said, just remember, young man, that one day in the future, tomorrow will be your last day. I was like, oh my gosh, does that mean we don't live forever? And he was like, no, this life is short, it's precious. It's a gift. Okay, it's a gift. Don't throw it away. And those words stayed with me all my life. So I said to
Sounds
my
like a very
dad,
wise man.
he was wonderful, Mike. He really was. And I said to him on that Saturday, I've got to do this. He said, Mark, come on. He said, look, you broke your back. Okay, you're 40 years of age. Just go back to work. Just go back to work. Your job's there for you. You know, your company car's there for you. Rah, rah, rah. I said, Dad, I'm going to have to apologize. I've got to do this. With or without you, I'm going to do it. And you're either going to see me in London, you know, flying the flag for Great Britain, or you're going to see me dead on the side for trying. And don't bet against me, because I'm serious. And he turns, he turns around to my mother and he says, Margaret, have a word with this boy. I think he's lost it.
Brilliant,
So that was the
brilliant.
start. That was the start, you know.
And so 2 years of training, and you turn up at London 2012, I guess, with a chance.
Well, I think the you know, the 2 year journey, the first year with the opportunity of British cycling, because think about this, Mike. British cycling don't just pick, you know, gold medal winners or potential winners, but what they pick is people with what I would regard as a glimpse of brilliance. They have something. Sometimes they don't even know they have it, you know, and I guess I had it. And British cycling, when they took a look at me, and they said to my first coach, a wonderful gentleman called Neil Smith from Disability Sport Wales. And Neil is one of my best friends. He's been a mentor for 10 years now, you know, and he's there for me, you know, every day. And Neil said to me, look, just keep doing the work, keep doing the training, put up with compromise, give up chocolate, give up alcohol, you know, give up all this stuff. You know, I signed on job seekers allowance. So I went from a really good job, high salary, company car, rah, 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 to signing on job seekers allowance, because that then allowed me to train full time.
Yeah.
You know, because I
Yeah,
could
but
always,
it's tough to deal with that, isn't it? That's a big drop in lifestyle and circumstance. So
massive.
what they seen in you was mindset. You know, they seen that you had the will to do it, I think.
Well, I think there's four pillars. Okay, very important for the audience here. There's four pillars to success, in my opinion. Okay, so when Neil got me into British cycling, because it was thanks to Neil Smith. Okay, Neil Smith is a facilitator who trains athletes, and he had trained previous world champions, Paralympic champions, British champions. Okay, this guy is a facilitator. He's an incredible wealth of knowledge, and he gives up so much of his time. You know, he really does. So Neil then spoke to British Cycling. They took a look at me. They said, okay, you know, let's take a look at this guy. Okay, at the time I was 41, you know, and I'd lost a lot of weight. You know, I'd got really fit, really strong, albeit with a disability, you know. And this is quite a funny part of the story. The head coach of British Cycling, the paracycling team at the time, said to Neil Smith, you know, who's this guy? Where does he come from? You know, we've never seen him before. And and Neil's answer was, well, he's fell out of the sky. Literally.
Great
You know?
answer.
Yeah, so they gave me an opportunity over 2011 to race in 5 races, and I came back with 5 medals. You know, so then I got elevated up to Manchester to be part of the world-class cycling program, and obviously that's the jersey that you see behind me. Sorry for the people listening to the podcast, but you may need to go to the YouTube channel to see the jersey that's on the wall. You know, and I took a silver in the road worlds in Denmark in the 10-mile time trial. So British cycling, we're now thinking, hang on, we're 12 months from the Paralympics now. And this guy was like, you know, just turned up, and I was 41, you know, literally when I turned up then in the September, October. And then I was very privileged to be selected for the World Track Championships, which was February 2012, which was unfortunately the same week that we lost my dad to stomach cancer. Oh. So that in itself, Mike, was traumatic. Oh, it was horrible to be in Los Angeles, 12,000 miles from home. And my dad had stomach cancer for about 9 months. you know, and to see, I suppose, to see my best friend, my go-to guy, my hero, my inspiration.
Mentor from the sound of it, you know, great inspiration for your life, really, from the sounds of it. Great man.
Yeah, just to see him pass away was sad, you know, and in one respect, you know, I wish I was there, but in another reflection, maybe,
Yeah, maybe not.
maybe not.
Not to
Yeah,
be sometimes, like, you know, that
yeah,
was the one. It was like with my nan at the end when my nan went recently. I wish I probably wasn't there, but you know.
yeah, yeah. So to go to Los Angeles to represent my country, you know, the World Track Championships was a great privilege, because British Cycling knew how good I was on the road in the 10-mile time trial, you know. And you know, when I raced in the World Road Championships, I was only 32 seconds behind the guy that had won gold in Beijing. You know, a great friend of mine now from, you know, Germany, Michael Teuber. So to be 32 seconds behind a Paralympic gold medalist in the 10-mile time trial, I knew that within that 12-month period, you know, I could get closer and closer. But British Cycling then,
the gap was small enough that you knew you could do something about it, like, you know.
yeah. So when British Cycling put me on the track, with the amount of power that I've got for my weight, you know, and you know, I dropped down from 14.5 stone to literally 12.5 stone. You know, a lot of muscle that that had dissipated. But I suppose I still kept my strength. Obviously, I still had my endurance, you know, my big engine. So to win that gold medal on the track in Los Angeles in the World Championships was a great stepping stone. You know, for me to beat Michael Teuber in Germany, from Germany, who had never lost on the track. You know, he'd never lost on the track, and I turned up because of my power. That discipline was just the perfect event for me, Mike. You know, the sad side of it was coming home to my dad's funeral. You know, heartbreaking, man.
Yeah, tough.
You know,
Tough.
but obviously then on to the epic summer of sport, which was London 2012.
What a lucky, you know, we said a lot of stars aligned there for you with lots of things there, but then, you know, the blessing, if you like, of being able to do a home tournament, and you know, what was that like?
It was incredible, and for the listeners, you know, listening to this podcast and obviously watching the video on your YouTube channel, then just think back to that epic summer of sport. You know, for people listening to this, whenever you listen to this, you know, in many years to come, maybe just think back to the summer of 2012, when that epic summer of sport gave GB, you know, a Wimbledon winner. It gave us a Tour de France winner in Sir Bradley Wiggins. You know, the Olympics, you know, the Team GB were literally winning gold medals for fun, you know, and yet, in my opinion, the Olympics was a great warm-up for the Paralympics, because it was a great turning point, having seen, you know, Paralympics GB go to Athens, you know, seeing Team GB and Paralympics GB go to Beijing and just win a massive haul of medals, and then go on to London when the whole world was watching, okay? You know, tens of millions of people watching every single day. And then it was time for the superhumans. Then it was time for the Paralympics. Then it was time for, you know, 4,500 athletes to literally embark, you know, onto the, you know, the Olympic park. And it
Yeah.
was just,
Not only was it the home Olympics, but it was the turning point for the Paralympics, for the superhumans. It was so again, you know, for you and what you were doing, it was, you know, the biggest arena that you could have been in.
and to be honest with you, Mike, yeah, you know, I probably couldn't have wished for a better games, you know, and there is no good time to have a near fatal accident. There was no good time to break my back. But to have it happen 3 years before London, and I said this to my coach, Tom Stanton, who was my coach of British cycling, you know, I've got to give this 100%, because London's only going to happen once, okay? Think about birthdays, think about Christmases. They come and go every year, okay? But London 2012 was only going to happen once, and I was going to give it 100% for this reason, Mike. People in life who want to succeed, sometimes they over-deliver, but they fail. And the reason why they over-deliver is because they're not focused on the process. They think of the outcome before the process. Whereas with British cycling, who are just exemplary at marginal gains, looking at the small details, looking at the small differences that make all the difference, you know? So going into London, I was the lightest I'd been in probably 20 years of my life. You know, I went in at 78 kilograms. So to be 42 years of age, 6'1", 78 kilograms, I was like a racehorse. I literally was ripped to shreds, you know? But I had the power, the endurance, to ride in these 3 races. But what I had more than anything, and this is for the listeners, is great health. Okay, I didn't win my medals on great luck. I won my medals on great health. So I was privileged to race for Paralympics GB, you know, at the home games. I won 2 silvers to start with, one in the sprint, one in the 10-mile time trial. You know, Michael Teuber, my friend from Germany, beat me by 12 seconds over 10 miles in London. 12 seconds, do the maths. It's literally 1 second a mile almost, you know. And then I lost out to a rider from China in the sprint called Yang Zi. And then on to my event, which is the 3-kilometer pursuit or 12 laps of the velodrome. Then it was my time, because it's my event as the world champion. You know, I watched all the other riders that morning put down their times, and our friend from China, Yang Zi, who was 18 years younger than me at the time, he broke the world record in my event. You know, how rude. How rude. So I then went and broke the world record again. I was the first rider in history to go under 4 minutes for the 3-kilometer pursuit. So it was almost the Sir Roger Bannister moment for me, you know, going under the 4-minute barrier for 12 laps. So sub 4, which was just, it was amazing. But then, you know, 4 hours later, Mike, that was then time to perform once again in the final, you know, and that, oh my gosh, that in itself, you can just imagine, you know, the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Velodrome, packed to the rafters, 7,000 people.
The place to be that year. The place to be that year, wasn't it?
It was incredible, Mike. It was the 31st of August, 2012. You know, the final was, I think it was 3:15 that afternoon, if I remember rightly. And yeah, just so many memories flooding back now. You know, just the heat, just the colours, just the noise, you know, just incredible.
I've seen the video, and it's inspirational. It's awesome, you know, just watching it, you know, so being in it, you know, and knowing that you've accomplished something so big must just be, you know, awesome, phenomenal, like, you know.
And it comes back to preparation. You know, it's all in preparation, planning, diet, lifestyle, compromise, sacrifice. And, you know, that afternoon going into the final, almost not knowing what was going to happen, you know, racing against this young lad who was 18 years younger than me, who, you know, that morning he was really quick. And my coach said to me, Mark, please understand that this young lad may go for the catch, because if he accelerates over the first 4, 5, 6 laps and he catches you, you know, then if he passes you, the race is over. You're going home with another silver, you know. And I said these words to Tom. I said, Tom, when that gun goes off and the race starts, I'm going to ride that bike like I've stolen it. And I'm from South Wales, so that's easy.
He's closing in rapidly, and he might just get on his slipstream as he comes off this banking into the finishing straight. He's 100 metres behind him as he lines up for the finish. The world record has just gone by, but he doesn't care. Oh my God, it hasn't! It hasn't! It's won! I'll have to work it out. It's about 11 hundredths of a second. He's got the world record again.
Incredible. What a way to win a gold medal.
So yeah, and that obviously elevated you and catapulted you, you know, that success onto a platform and a stage, yeah. And obviously some of your experience in the sales world and that helps me to understand how you went on and did what you've done in the life after sport, if you like, yeah. Because you were used to that more corporate environment and that sort of thing than maybe some athletes are, and have more experience in that. That's what I've taken from that so far. But you know, it was such a successful games that normally what you've done would stand out and be elevated on its own as an amazing achievement. But you're fighting that amongst all the other amazing winners, you know, because it's such a bumper year. They're probably the best ever year in British sports. So how did you catapult and use your skills, if you like, to elevate yourself above others in that situation?
Yeah, I think that the most important thing obviously, bringing this gold medal, this Paralympic gold medal back, to Wales. I won this. Yes, I won this for Paralympics GB. Yes, I won this for myself. This was my childhood dream. For people listening to the podcast, go to the YouTube channel, take a look at this gold medal, because, this was my childhood dream, to bring this back, win this medal for my dad, win it for Mr. Nice Guy was just the stuff of movies, But like you said, quite rightly, that when I retired from cycling after winning that Paralympic gold medal, having won, in style, breaking that world record again in the final, literally 2 world records in one day, was just a testament, to British cycling, to Neil Smith, Tom Stanton, the 9 other staff that helped me to get me into the best shape possible. And what that meant was this, that I had the ability to use the 4 pillars of success. So I had belief in the process, okay? I had belief in the organization, which was British Cycling. I had to have belief in myself, but the most important part is having belief in myself doing the process. That's when the magic happens. And when I then retired from cycling, in 2014, I just applied the same rules, because British Cycling had formulated, gold medalists before. So I had confidence and belief in what they were doing. I just had to follow the program, So then when I started speaking professionally, all around the world on mindset, resilience, how to win, with a process, just follow the process, okay? And yes, there's lots more to it, but I just wanted to transfer my skills from sport to then into the business world, helping FTSE 250 companies with leadership, change management, removing the mask, being your authentic self, all of these great values and skills that you need to learn to be successful. And to date, I've presented at 215 conferences all around the world. I'm a registered speaker trainer for Rolls-Royce jet engines in Derby, and I'm just so privileged. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I'm so grateful. I'm just so grateful, for the opportunity. So yeah, the future's bright, Mike, to be honest with you. We're doing lots of work with education at the moment, lots of work online with courses, with mindset courses, health and well-being, all around the world. So yeah, I feel very privileged for this reason. I genuinely want to inspire generations, create a lasting change, and make sure that those words, when they're written on my headstone, can read, I know I made a difference.
Brilliant. And, that's what life's about, isn't it? Making a difference, so that's fantastic. You said you followed a process. When you started out, I would have guessed you started speaking on, winning and the sports side of things, and obviously developed that over time into being more leadership and that as you were going down the corporate route. Did you have an agent for speaking at the start, or did you sort of have a number of agencies, or did you just get your own gigs? How did that work?
Yeah, so I was managed, for a number of years by a sports agency in London, and obviously that was very beneficial. But now I self-manage myself. I've got 3 business partners that obviously work, under the umbrella of markcolbourne.com, and obviously that's I suppose that's our business strategy now. Moving forward, certainly in the UK, certainly in Europe, and I'm very privileged to be partnered, with a global, health and wellness company, who's actually the #1 nutritional company for nutritional cleansing. So I feel now at the age of 50 that I've got my health sorted, I've got my business strategy sorted, I've got my team sorted, and that's really important, moving forward. So yeah, just to finish, I feel very privileged, certainly to help you, to help people out there, to inspire other people. But the most important thing, just to finish, is people learning the skills to inspire themselves. Create your own legacy. Think logically, not emotionally. Focus on the process, not the outcome, and accept. Yeah, just accept the outcome, whatever it is. Win, lose, or draw, good or bad. As long as you've done your best, that's all you can do. That's your gold medal. That's your gold medal. Knowing that you've done your best.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, thanks a lot for coming on my podcast and the YouTube channel and sharing a little bit about your journey. I think I'd love to perhaps get you on again at some point and deep dive a bit on the after cycling career, because I think that's the area I'm looking to go into, and I think you've got some more to learn from on there. But either way, thanks for coming on, and thanks for being an amazing guest.
My pleasure, Mike. Good luck to everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching on the YouTube channel. And my wish for you is that you live out your legacy, do the best you can, be the best you can be, and just enjoy the journey. But yeah, thanks for inviting me on, Mike. Take care, everybody.
Brilliant, awesome. Thanks a lot.